Hi, Dyslexic Genius here. I'm back on the Columbia Unique Motor, and this is the really hard part, is putting the governor in. And you have to know a few things, and I'll talk you through it while I'm assembling it. But first you need to know the eccentric bearing, which is this one. You see the holes off to the side, and that one is not.
So they're
This one,
different.
this one goes over here.
Wait a minute. This one goes where?
This one goes in the top piece right
Well,
here,
how do you know this stuff?
because I took the motor apart.
Okay.
What you're not gonna do is you're not gonna put the spindle shaft in or the governor drive gear, because if you put the spindle shaft in and the governor drive gear, you can't get back up in here and put that nut on that bearing. But we can after we get it in. And the
So the bearing goes in first.
So what you have to do is get your nut, your bearing. I'm going to put some oil on it. And you're only going to tighten it up where it barely hits. And we have this space because we want to push the bearing out. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick the eccentric in. You put your finger up here.
So you have to make a note of which bearing came out of which hole.
Yeah. You have to make a note of what bearing came out of which hole. There, I got it. And my angel will show you we have space.
Okay.
Now the problem is we're going to put the governor in, but we can't get our finger in here to put this nut on. So what we do is we put the nut that I just put on here, we put it on the governor right there.
That's a different nut, right?
Yeah, no, it's the same nut that goes on the bearing.
Okay, it's another one of the same nuts.
It's another one of the same nuts that goes on the bearing like that. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to take this nut and we're going to stick it right there on the end of the governor. We're going to come in. We're going to stab the hole. See if we can do this. Angle in. There we go. I've stuck the pinion in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bearing and I'm going to hit it. There. Now we're going to stick that in like that. Now we have the governor in. Now what we'll do, now the governor's resting, we'll come up here. And sometimes you need a pair of tweezers or a needle nose to hold this thing.
And what are you holding this?
I'm holding the nut to
nut.
put it on,
Oh, I see.
put it on the end. Now I have both nuts on and the governor can't come out. Now what you'll do is you'll tighten this one up. You take your 3/8" wrench and Now you'll tighten this one down, which will be much easier. I'm using my finger to hold it because for the video, there we go. I'm going to put the 3/8" bolt wrench on there. I mean the 7/16. And then you're going to come onto the side and tighten the bearing down. Over here, I'll show you on the other side. There we go. Now that it's done, we will take the governor. We'll take this bearing and we will spin it around. We'll move that out of the way, and there you go. Then we will come back and put in that screw. Before we put the center screw in with a little 3/8" nut, you will come in with your oiler, stick it in there, and give it a big glob of oil on each side. Just let it run out the end. And you see how hard this is to tighten that nut up on the bearing and to tighten this nut up on the bearing. You can move the oiling tubes around a little. They'll bend a little out of the way to do that, and that's how you do it. Then you will insert the spindle shaft, and you will put the governor drive gear in like that, but you're going to leave that loose because now we have to put this gear train in, which fits in like this. And this one is much easier to do, and I'll do that. You see how the nut goes on like this? It's much easier to get in there with the bearing. So what you'll do is you'll put the first bearing in right here. So I've put the bearing in. I have space. I'll push that. There's my nut. You will take this, move that oil tube out of the way, come in here, add the nut. There we go. Push the oil tube out of the way. And that's how you put them in. Now we'll come back and tighten everything up. We can bring the governor drive gear up here like this. And I boo-booed and I put it in backwards. And everybody makes mistakes.
So you take it out and do it again.
Take it out and do it again. So pop that around, change this around.
It's good to know dyslexic genius makes mistakes.
Yeah, it does.
But the big thing is catching it and fixing it.
Catching it and fixing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull that out of the way. Flip that around. There we go. Yes, I am not infallible. So you get the nut on here, then you come in. These are a real booger, let me tell you. So I've gone to the needle nose. There we go. I got it in place. Now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to come back and you lock everything in place just like that. This is really hard to do, and this takes a lot of patience to do. And in the next video, I'll show you all the adjustments, and that's my tip for the day.